And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Your Health is Important Facebook Live broadcast. Brought to you by Dr. M.J. Collier, your family physician. We are here for our first time in the year 2022, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to answer your healthcare questions, of course. We're going to give you a brief COVID update, and we're going to talk about getting your sexy back. What can you do to get slim sexy for 2022? All right. I'm going to bring in my co-host right now. Antonio, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. It's 2022.
Man, it's so good to have you. And I'm so glad that we are back on Facebook Live and getting with all of our members and talking to the people that are, just having a great time and missing us, because we're surely missing you. I'm having a little technical difficulty. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Doc.
Oh, okay, good. All right, great. I'm just I can't see your screen, unfortunately. So I'm having a little difficulty with let's see here. Let me bring up some stuff. There you go. All right, very good. Okay, so we are live here in the studios at the offices of Atlanta West Primary Care, and we're going to talk to you again about getting your sex back. It's 2022. A lot of individuals have been cocooning. We have been on lockdown for 2 years with this COVID pandemic. And what has resulted in that is a lot of people's health has deteriorated. The cardiovascular fitness has deteriorated. People have put on not just the COVID-15, but more now like the COVID-20 or 30. And so we want to get all of that weight off of you. We want to get you healthy. We want to get you back to being the best you that you can be. As always, Antonio will be screening your calls, and we're going to, again, talk to you about our 3 subjects today. COVID update, any healthcare questions that you have, and getting your sex back, how to lose weight. And we're going to talk about ways to optimize your metabolism, which is the way to get your weight down. So, Antonio, let's start bringing up all our listeners and anybody who's online right now. Okay, let's see what we got right here. Good evening, Regina. Hey, Regina Robinson Fletcher, how are you doing? And I'm telling you, I'm so glad about all the posts that you put up every day. It enlightens my day. And so I'm so glad just to see you being the best you that you can be. She is one of the great success stories of the entire Lipo product line. And the woman is just amazing. Time to get rid of this pandemic weight loss. You were right about that, Ms. McCrae Williams. Shawanda, thank you so much for tuning in. We are so glad to have you here. And to Joanna Walls, hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much. And remember, we always want to know where you're signing in from, what part of the country you're from, because we are national. We go north, south, east, and west. California, Washington, D.C., New York, Florida. Shelly Barnes Gregory. All right, Shelly, thank you. And good evening, because we know that everybody has other options. Sharon Goober, hey, from Chicago, Chi-Town. We're so glad. Now we Midwest. Shishi Thomas, what's up, Doc? So glad to see you, Shishi. And we are just glad to be here. So I'm going to do a brief summary right now. We're going to talk about the COVID, the coronavirus, the Omicron variant. I think that if you listen to Dr. Fauci yesterday and some of the CDC experts, now we're understanding clearly this Omicron variant is just too effective at transmission. It is highly infective. It is spreading from person to person. But fortunately, for those individuals, particularly those that have been vaccinated and boosted, if they catch it, it's going to be mild. They're not going to be hospitalized, and they're not going to die from it. But if you have not been vaccinated, if you have not been boosted, if you catch it, it can present with moderate to severe disease. At this time, hospitals across the country, including here in Atlanta, where we're from, are overwhelmed. The ICUs are at capacity. Multiple floors are being converted to COVID care units, and individuals are again tapping the resources with things like our ventilators. And we have had unfortunate deaths. Of course, people have been passing from this Omicron variant. Now, in the news on Monday of this week was the big question. There's a thing they're calling Deltacron. That is literally a combination of the Delta variant and the Omicron variant on a cellular genetic basis, i.e. a person has been infected with both viruses at the exact same time, both variants. And the way that these variants work is they commandeer the genetic manufacturing systems in your body's cells. and they tell those manufacturing systems to make more virus. So they incorporate themselves into your body's basic genetic machinery, make more of themselves, make more copies of themselves. Well, if you have two variants that are in the same cell competing for the same machinery, sometimes they can get mixed up. And what will come out of that is a combination of genetics on both of the variants. So we have actually had documented cases of people that have been infected with both separately. They have clearly specific and singular Delta infections and singular Omicron infections, but we also have patients that have had genetically combined Deltacron infections, and that would be an absolute nightmare, because remember, the Delta was very infectious, but it was also a more potent version than the original version of the alpha version of the coronavirus. So with the Deltacron, 25 people have been confirmed and genetically proven to have the combined infection as of Monday. That number, now that they're looking for it, could have increased exponentially by now, but we're just hoping that it does not. The key thing is that it's only been found in people that were ill enough to be hospitalized and people that were immune compromised. No one that has been vaccinated has suffered from the Delta Cron combined variant coronavirus infection. So we want to make sure, again, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get your vaccinations, get your vaccines, get your boosters. That is also the only way that we can protect the only vulnerable population right now. The only people who vaccines are not available for are children under age 5. So guess what? Infections in that age group have skyrocketed. And the reason they have skyrocketed is because adults have either had the infection, recuperated from it, and now have natural immunity, or they've been vaccinated and boosted. So the only population that's left that's available for the virus to infect are young children age 5 and less. So the children's hospitals, particularly here in Atlanta, children's healthcare has been overwhelmed. Not only do they not have space and room for all the children that are sick, they don't have staff to take care of them, even if they can get them in the hospital. So a lot of these sick children are having to be taken care of at home by family members, usually the mom, of course, and then she gets infected. So in my office, I have had, instead of the one case or the two cases like we normally have had during this pandemic, I'm getting the mother and the father and every child in the house infected with this coronavirus. So very important that we take care of ourselves. Get your vaccines, get boosted. My pecking order for vaccine efficacy, it is no secret, it is scientifically proven that the Moderna is the most potent vaccine that you can get. If you're vaccine naive, start with the Moderna. If you have not had a booster and you're booster eligible, get a Moderna booster, no matter which vaccine you started with. Get the Moderna booster and avoid the Johnson & Johnson single shot, because even it's just not shown to be potent against the Delta or the Omicron variants. So very important that we protect ourselves. So that's our update on the pandemic, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, if you will, that we're going to have to just learn to live with. It's going to be becoming endemic. So we're going to have to make sure that we are protected the best that we can, that we have optimized our immune system. And the way to do that, because even though there is now an effective, two companies have developed pills that you will take twice daily for 5 days to do this. They just aren't available. You can't get them. They're not in the drugstore. So the best way to protect yourself, even if you get the disease, you can treat while you have it, or you can protect yourself. And if you do catch it, you can minimize the disease by supplements. Supplements that I recommend: vitamin D at 5,000 international units per day. The daily recommended dose is only like 600 to 800 international units per day. But that is not an effective and therapeutic dose to boost your immune system. So 5,000 international units per day of vitamin D3. There's a lot of vitamin D2 available. Your body has to convert inactive vitamin D2 into the active vitamin D3. And some people do that very effectively. So vitamin D2 is a great supplement for those individuals, but a lot of people do not. So cut out the middleman, go straight for the vitamin D3 and take that at 5,000 international units per day, and you will boost your immune system. Now, the normal range on a vitamin D is 30 to 90. You really want to get that number up to 60, between 60 and 90, to boost your immune system and also to help prevent various types of cancers. There are multiple studies that have confirmed efficacy in prostate cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer. So it's very important that you get that number between 60 and 90. And the easiest and best way to do that is by taking the dose at 5,000 international units per day. Now, vitamin C. Vitamin C should be taken at 1,000 milligrams per day. And then other supplements such as zinc. Zinc should be taken at least 30 milligrams per day. 50 is optimal, but a lot of people cannot tolerate a 50 milligram of zinc dose. Also, zinc is in a short supply right now. It's backed up in the system. You cannot find it on the shelves of your vitamin shops, your GNCs, your regular drugstores, your grocery stores. Zinc is in short supply. So if you find some, I recommend that you get multiple bottles and have it on your shelf so you can get through the winter. So zinc at minimum 30 milligram dose, optimally 50 milligram dose. And then other supplements such as black seed oil, elderberry extract, and other products that are available. Our Lipo Immune product has 3 components in it. It has zinc, it has elderberry, and it has vitamin C. Those 3 things all in one pill, because Dr. Collier realized that when taking these supplements on a daily basis, there's a substantive and significant pill burden, which means you got a lot of pills to take and you become pill fatigued. So if you're taking those plus any other prescription medications you're taking, you ended up taking a lot of pills. So one of the things that we did is to combine 3 of those things into one pill. So now we couldn't get the vitamin D in there as well. It's just, it would have made the pill too large. So now we have the Lipo Immune, and then we have the Doctor's D at 5,000 international units per day. You combine those 2 and you are optimizing your immune system function. But again, other things such as sea moss is very good. Again, black seed oil is very good. Apple cider vinegar helps boost your immune system and also lowers your cholesterol. There are other great supplements. Do your own research, but see that those things are necessary to boost your immune system. Most people that I evaluate in my office, I do a vitamin D on every patient, have vitamin Ds of 10 or less. And again, the normal range is 30 to 90. A vitamin D of 10 not only does not boost your immune system, you also now start to have a fragile bone surfaces, and your teeth are not as strong as they can be. So all of your bones and your teeth need vitamin D along with calcium to be optimized. So it's very important that we do that. So we talked about the coronavirus pandemic. We've talked about ways to boost your immune system. So go to our website right now, lipodrops.com. Get more information on how to boost your immune system, and also go to our site that gives you information about the pandemic, the coronavirus, any other infectious diseases. And again, you can get into the chat and we'll answer your questions. Now, weight loss. How are we going to get off this pandemic 15, 20, or 30 pounds that you have gained? Well, you can do calorie restriction. This is the old school dietary method in which you don't eat a lot of calories. Most diets are under 2,000 calories a day. Most settle in for about 1,200 calories per day. That's a lot of not eating. But guess what? If you do that, you will lose weight. Every strip mall diet plan that exists, and those are plans like quick weight loss, I'm too fat, fat be gone, etc. All of them will require you to count your calories and minimize your calorie intake to lose weight. It requires 3,500 calories to gain 1 pound, which means you have to remove 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. Now, a simple and elegant solution is to take out 500 calories per day. 7 days, that's 3,500 calories. That's a 1 pound per week that you will lose. That is the standard dietary formula that has been around for 50 plus years. People do that and they guarantee you, they'll say lose 4 to 5 pounds per month. Well, guess what? People want to lose more than that. They want to lose it quicker, and they want it to stay off, because the biggest problem with a calorie restricted diet is that once you resume eating normally, you've lost 20, 30 pounds, you gain back 30 or 40 pounds. The other bad thing about that is that when you lose weight, you lose a combination of muscle and fat. Let's use an example. Let's say for 15 pounds, you lose 10 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle. This is just an example. Now, you gain it back, however, you gain back all fat. So if you started off at 250 pounds, you lost down to 220 pounds. Well, your body composition was one type. You might have been thick, but you still looked and appeared healthy. You just looked thick. But now you've lost to 220, you gain back up to 250 or 260, and you have a greater percentage of body fat. So now you were looking fit but thick. Now you appear to be doughy, unhealthy, and also this puts more of a challenge to your cardiovascular system, puts you at a higher risk for a heart attack or a stroke as you increase your body fat composition. And also you clothes, the same clothes that fit you before when you had more muscle and less fat, now don't fit you anymore because your body somatotype has changed. You have a greater body fat. So that's not a very effective way to lose the weight. Anybody in any diet plan can get weight off of you in 3 to 6 months. But our objective is to keep the weight off of you. I tell patients we can get a tremendous amount of weight off of you in 6 months. But my concern is where you're going to be in 7 to 12 months. We want to keep that weight off of you. We want to keep you healthy. And the way to do that is by changing your metabolism. Changing your metabolism is the basis of our pinpoint diet plan. Now, everyone knows that one of the biggest things that's going on in weight loss now is fasting. But fasting is effective, but it is temporary. Intermittent fasting, however, and this is where all the calories that you're going to bring in a 24-hour period, you eat in an 8-hour period. That time period, you choose any 8-hour period that works for you, but just be consistent with it. With our pinpoint plan, you choose the time that you want to have your dinner, and then you go 15 hours ahead of that, and then that's when you have your first meal of the day. And then you have a meal between those two and a snack in between each of those. Our pinpoint diet plan is well explained at the lipodrops.com website. You can go there, sign up, get all the information that you need on how to be a participant in our weight loss challenge for 2022, because we're going to be there with you. We're going to lose the weight. Some of you may notice Dr. Collier is a little thin. His face is a little thin. His chin is tightened up a little bit. Why is that? Because Dr. Collier has lost 20 pounds since the last time you saw me on Facebook Live. I'm down 20 pounds. It's actually more like 21 at this point. But it is absolutely incredible what you can do following this pinpoint weight loss program and taking the Lipo Drop supplement. My other supplements include the Lipo Drops Max, Maximum Formula, the Probiotics, and the Lipo Cleanse. Those 3 things. Now, if I feel like I've eaten too much, I need to compensate. I will also add the Keto Max, which puts your body in a state of ketosis, which makes your body burn fat as its primary source of fuel versus burning sugars or the carbs. And that helps sculpt you. So even though I'm not in the gym yet, I'm planning on doing more exercise, but like most people, I have yet to do so. But because you're losing more body fat on top of the muscles start to be more well-defined. So you look better. You start to appear more fit, more athletic, if you will, and your body changes. It metamorphosizes into a more healthy you. And so now people that have not seen me for a few months now are seeing me and complimenting me and noting that. They will comment on it. They'll say, wow, you look like you've lost weight. And I explained to them that, yes, I have. And now I want you to join the party. I want you to get on this weight loss challenge for 2022. And that's what we're going to do. We want you to get on board with the Lipo Drops Maximum Strength Formula. If you have more than 25 pounds to lose, then that's what we recommend. The original Lipo Drops formula, if you have 10 to 15 pounds to lose, or if you don't want to lose as much as fast on a shorter period of time. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody settles for less than optimal. Everybody wants to lose as much as they can in as short a period of time as they can. And so I tell them, you need to go to the Lipo Drops website, take the survey. It will then make recommendations based on what your needs, your wants, and your desires are. Some people just want to lose a few pounds. Some people just want to get more sculpted. Some people want to lose that muffin top so that they look better in the clothes that they're wearing. So what we don't want to do is cocoon over the winter time and hibernate our bodies physiologically and end up putting on more weight. So we're going to have this pandemic that's going to really, really be restricting our activities, the places we can go, and the things that we can do within the next few weeks. As wintertime hits us and we're shut in, this virus is going to really, really create a problem. And we're just not going to be able to do some of the things we like to do. And most of those activities are calorie burning activities, and they help us stay slim and trim. Well, what we're going to end up doing, we're going to be inside, we're going to be Netflixing and chilling, and we're going to be more sedentary, we're going to be eating more, snacking more, etc. We got quite a few more weeks, maybe 5 weeks until the Super Bowl, a lot of football in between those times. And so people will be doing a lot of indoor activities where they are more sedentary. So we want to get you up, we want to get you active, but more importantly, we want you to lose that muffin top with the Lipo Drop product line. Okay, Antonio, let's go to some of our questions and see what people have for us. Okay. Louis Tanya, how you doing? We were vaccinated in August 2021. How soon do we need to get a boost? Okay, August that's 8 and now 4. You can get a boost anytime, really. Anytime after 3 months is reasonable. If you have gotten the Moderna vaccine, then you don't have to be in such a rush to get the boost because the Moderna is still functioning quite well. If you have gotten the Pfizer, then you might want to be have a more sense of urgency. If you got the Johnson & Johnson, you want to get boosted yesterday, so there won't be a problem. You can get the booster almost anytime if you got the Johnson & Johnson as your primary vaccination. So the Moderna you can get, but you can wait another couple of months if you like. If you have not gotten the flu vaccine, then I recommend that would be your first stop. Get the flu vaccine. Do not get both of them at the same time. They are being offered at the same time. And I think that challenges your immune system, and it cannot possibly do two things as well at one time as it can with one thing, particularly with other health challenges that you may or may not have. So I would get my flu shot. Then 2 weeks later after that, I would get my COVID booster. No matter which one you got originally, try to get the Moderna if you can, because that will help optimize, again, your immune function. If you have gotten the coronavirus, gotten through the infection, and recuperated from it, you have natural immunity. Natural immunity from infection plus 2 shots of any of the vaccines gives you optimal immune capabilities. So a booster is just extra, and it actually even helps even more boost your immune system. But your immune system is basically optimized under that scenario. Having had the disease, having recuperated from the disease, having antibodies from the disease, and then getting at least a 2-shot regimen, then your immune system is basically optimized. But if you want to get a booster, particularly if you're in a people position, you're working with people and constantly exposed, more so than being at home working from a computer desk or being more isolated, then you might not have to be in a hurry to get your booster. Okay, great question, Louis. Should I segregate with unvaccinated people, or does that cause riffraff? How do I tell a friend I don't feel safe around them, or am I as good since I'm vaccinated? Yes, you have to make a personal choice to do so, and I recommend that you do. You're much safer being around other vaccinated people. Just make that a part of your social requirements, and don't be shy about it. You don't have to, tell people that's why I don't want to do it, or you can if you like. But more importantly, my medical suggestion is that, again, you try to affiliate with other people that are vaccinated so that you decrease your risk in situations where you're socializing. Now, if you decide, well, I do want to spend some time with people and they just don't want to get the vaccine, that's a personal choice. But that might stimulate that person to get vaccinated if they see that they're not going to spend quality time with you. And you don't have to get into a debate about it. I just tell people my recommendation is, and I have gotten it, and I recommend that you do. But I'm not going to be around, people that have not been vaccinated. If I know that they have not been vaccinated, I'm going to choose not to socialize with them intimately. I may be in an environment where we can socially distance 6 feet apart, but I'm not going to have a crowd of people in my home for a dinner or whatever that have not been vaccinated. That's just doesn't make common sense. So you're on the right track when you do that. So people that are not vaccinated are what's prolonging this pandemic and what is infecting the majority of the population. If we had gotten 85 to 90% of people vaccinated before the Delta variant came, we wouldn't have had a Delta variant because there would have been no viable host for the virus to mutate in and create the Delta variant. So now we're reliving the same scenario with the Omicron. Thank goodness it's highly infectious, but not as potent. But the next one can be highly infectious and potent. Again, we talked about the Delta Cron, the combination of the Delta variant and the Omicron variant that has already happened on a genetic cellular basis. So again, Mother Nature will find a way. We have to protect ourselves, and the best way that we have to do that is to vaccinate ourselves to make no viable host available for this virus to live. All right, next question. Darlene Rogers Heath. Hi, Darlene. So glad to hear from you again. I'm currently working third shift, 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. What would be the best time for the best results in taking Lipo Drops Max, Lipobiotic, Doctors D, and the Keto Max? Okay, the probiotics, the Lipo Omega, and the Doctors D all are immune products. Doesn't really matter when you take them, as long as you get the doses in a 24-hour period. The Lipo Drops Max I would take before each meal. So whenever your breakfast is, whenever your lunch is, whenever your dinner is, I would take those drops, put them under my tongue, hold them under my tongue for 2 minutes, then swallow, and then consume your meal. You don't have to do it immediately. You can do it when you know you're about to eat, up to 30 minutes before, and it will allow your body to metabolize those food substances much more efficiently. Now, the Keto Max, again, puts your body in a status of a pseudo-ketosis. So you're going to metabolize fat as your first choice of fuel versus carbohydrates and sugars. So again, same time, it's more meal specific than it is time specific. The biggest problem with people that work the overnight shift like you is that there is no accommodation. Your body never gets used to that. The world operates from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And once the sun is up, it is very difficult for your body to obtain quality rest. What happens is people that work that shift are chronically stressed. They're at higher susceptibility to high blood pressure because they're eating oftentimes while they're working, and they normally wouldn't do that if they were working a traditional shift. They gain weight. Their cholesterol goes up. The combination of high blood pressure, high cholesterol makes them more susceptible to diabetes. But there was a study done in shift workers and people that were working a traditional shift. They put them on the late shift. Within 6 months, most of them had gained at least 20 pounds. So that's just the culture and the impact that has on your body's metabolism in doing so. But the first thing people would do as soon as they get to work, they start putting together their orders that if somebody's going out and make the food run. And so people are not just eating at lunchtime, so to speak, they're literally snacking throughout the evening because oftentimes there's not a lot of other things to do. So again, ideally, first choice, if you have the option of not working that shift, change shifts, no matter what. If you need to work that shift because that's what's needed in your family dynamic, you have to take care of children during the daytime or something to that matter, then coordinate your fortunately, you're taking the supplements that will boost your immune system and keep you healthy, but also the Lipo Drop Max and the Keto Max coordinate around your meal schedule, not your work schedule. And eat. If you're working late, what your breakfast time is most people's, nobody's eating that time of night. So you want to finish all of your eating within 3 hours of the time that you're going to sleep. So if you're trying to sleep before you go to work at 10, that literally means going to bed like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Virtually impossible to do on a regular basis, but try to coordinate best that you can. Okay. Kathy Davis Kendrick, recently diagnosed with COVID. I've been fully vaccinated. How long do I have to wait to the booster? After you have recuperated, Dr. Collier's medical opinion is that you can get the booster anytime. But remember what I said earlier, that if you have gotten the disease, and if you were recently diagnosed, you probably have the Omicron variant. The natural immunity that you obtain from the Omicron variant is so good that right now it's showing effectiveness against all other previous variants, and it will probably give you a heightened sense of protection from any future infections. So having been fully vaccinated and have the disease, your body is optimized from the immune perspective. But after, they're giving people various times that are not based on science at all. It's just based on convenience and structure of availability of the vaccines. So they're telling people up to 3 to 6 months. Originally, it was 6 months, and there was no reason to do that. They just didn't have enough vaccine available, and so they didn't want people that had natural immunity to take vaccine from people who had never had any vaccination and also had not had or suffered from the coronavirus infection. So that was just, again, it was a subjective thing, not scientifically based. And now they're cutting that down. The CDC recently said that you can get a booster within 5 months of your last shot. And that number really can come down even lower. I tell patients as quickly as you're available. Nobody's going to turn you away and say, oh, it's too soon to get your booster. Once you have recuperated and you feel healthy, then you probably can get it. Okay, my functional doctor said no elderberry if you get COVID, as it can create a cytokine storm. Is this accurate? Well, cytokine storm can happen, particularly it does happen in children. Elderberry extract boosts the immune system in a way that any immune system booster can technically cause a cytokine storm. That is where your immune system overreacts to exposure to something. And the cytokine storm is a hyperimmune reaction that can really, it can even be fatal in some people, but it's such a rare phenomenon. But I don't think that elderberry is an issue there. But if you don't want to take elderberry, that's fine. I still say go with your zinc and your vitamin D and your vitamin C. That gives you more than enough coverage. Elderberry is just add on and an option for people that like, quote, more natural things. But I think the key combination, the vitamin D at 5,000 international units per day, the vitamin C at 1,000 milligrams per day, and the zinc at 30 to 50. I think anything beyond that is just extra. And so those are the three things that you can get, but you don't necessarily have to avoid elderberry in Dr. Collier's opinion. But again, one of our lipoimmune product has the elderberry in it, and I think it's a great addition, but you don't have to take any of that. Again, if you can get the zinc, if you can get the vitamin D, and if you can get the vitamin C, then you have pretty much optimized your body's immune system function. Okay, great question, Tanya. Rose Collins Gilbert, Doc, can you overdose on vitamin D? You can't overdose on any vitamin any that your vitamin does not use. Any vitamin that your body does not utilize is excreted in urine and feces. So you rarely can get a buildup. Even though they use the term toxic doses, it's almost impossible to overdose on a vitamin, particularly vitamin D. But if you get higher levels, and again, the normal range is 30 to 90 for your level of vitamin D. If you're taking a higher dose an extended period of time, then you might want to get your vitamin D level measured. But I have patients that are routinely at 100, 110, and there's no negative effects. Now, if you are susceptible to stone formation, that would be kidney stones and gallstones, you don't want to stay up at a high level. You just want to stay at a high enough level. And so anything between 60 and 90 would be where I would stay. And I think that if you take the 5,000 international units per day for at least 3 months, you might want to get your level checked. I don't and have not found any downside to staying on that dose. I stay on it personally myself, and I monitor my vitamin D levels, and I find that it's just not excessive. Some people, however, they think if 5,000 is good, 10,000 is great. So some people take 2 of the tablets daily, and I don't think you need to stay at 10,000, but there are combinations of the vitamin D at 10,000 international units. There's a combination of vitamin D plus vitamin K, which is a very effective way to get it into your system. But some people cannot take vitamin K. Anyone on a blood thinner should not take vitamin K in combination with the vitamin D. So again, I don't think that overdose is really a bad term in this situation. I don't think that you can do that. So great question, Rose. We appreciate you. Ursula Clark Holmes, good afternoon, Doc. I'm not understanding why I'm always tired. Me too. I think part of the thing is that how much rest you get every night. So oftentimes individuals, as adults, we usually go to bed about midnight. We try, we might start thinking about bed about 10 or so. By the time we shower, finish doing what we're doing, watch a little television, it's midnight. The universal wake up time in the United States of America for people that work is between 6 and 6:30. So you're not getting what's required, which is 8 hours of sleep. Nobody does. If you could get 8 hours of sleep, you really would probably optimize your health. But you need to get at least 6 hours. Most women, particularly moms, don't get 6 hours because they're staying up late taking care of children. They get up early taking care of children, they're getting up early taking care of their husbands. So what they end up getting is 4 to 5 hours per night and becoming chronically sleep deprived. So when that happens, your body's under stress. It's like being on a treadmill. Your blood pressure goes up. You're more susceptible to diabetes and all the bad things that can happen when your body's under chronic stress. Not to mention, you're probably not too much fun to be around because you're antsy, anxious, and on edge at all times. The slightest thing can bother you and set you off. So that's for men and women. That's nothing unique to women. When you're chronically sleep deprived, you're no fun to be around because, again, you're chronically fatigued. You're also no fun because you don't want to do anything because you're too tired to go out. You may have big plans. Oh, tonight I'm going to dinner. Tonight I'm going to do this. We're going to go hang out. And then, you're yawning at 8 o'clock. And so that is a problem. Also for women, particularly of childbearing age that are still having menstrual cycles, most women of childbearing age that are having menses are anemic. Because you don't eat enough of the things that you need to replace the blood that you lose during your menstrual cycle. So you're chronically anemic, chronically sleep deprived, which is just a recipe for not feeling well and feeling tired all the time. So those are the key things. Other things that are medical that could do it are things like low thyroid, other hormones that can be out of whack. It needs to be evaluated. Chronic fatigue is a real phenomenon and something that people need to be aware of. So let me get a sip here. Okay, next question. What if you can't take calcium? Well, if you can't take calcium, you don't have to take calcium, just take vitamin D. But calcium is in a lot of foods and supplements. It's very difficult to avoid it. But if you can't take calcium supplements like Citracal or other over-the-counter products that have calcium in them, you can get calcium naturally in all of your milk products, cheeses, ice cream, etc. All have calcium in them. What you need is the vitamin D to help yourself metabolize the calcium in the correct way. So it's almost impossible in the standard diet to avoid calcium. I don't know how you could, but if you can't take calcium supplements, no big deal. You don't have to. Just make sure you're eating a healthy, balanced diet. Next question. Okay, Patrina Stamps Jones. I'm getting ready to take my booster shot, yet I'm on warfarin. What can I take instead of Advil or Motrin? The only option that you have is the Tylenol. Thank you so much. You've been listening because Dr. Collier recommends that you take a non-sedating antihistamine such as Claritin, Zylol, Zyrtec, or Allegra. Start the day before you get the shot and continue it for at least the next 3 days. In your option, you don't have to take an anti-inflammatory. So the only option that you have is to take Tylenol, which will give you some pain relief. But remember, Tylenol is not an anti-inflammatory. But guess what? Vitamin D is a natural anti-inflammatory, and so is omega-3 fish oil. Those things you can take daily anyway to help decrease the amount of inflammation in your body and the amount of inflammatory buildup that you could get as a reaction to getting the booster shot. So those are things that I recommend. You can take the Tylenol for the pain. You can take vitamin D, a natural anti-inflammatory. You can take omega-3 fish oil, a natural anti-inflammatory. Other things such as curcumin and turmeric are also natural anti-inflammatories that can help you through that. And actually, Patrina, I'm so glad you asked that question because I have not had it asked previously. And people on blood thinners cannot take an anti-inflammatory like Advil, Motrin, or Aleve, but they can take some of those natural things that will not affect the blood thinning properties of the warfarin or Coumadin. Coumadin is probably the most prescribed blood thinner that exists. But you have to monitor Coumadin levels all the time. There are other options that you don't have to do that. And I recommend that if possible to come off the warfarin that you get on one of the newer blood thinners that don't restrict your activity. More importantly, don't have to be monitored. The levels don't have to be monitored in doing so. Okay, next question. Sharon Gober, I work at Amazon. Should I test for COVID every month? Um, yes, you should and could, but Dr. Collier is rethinking this standard testing or routine testing on people that are asymptomatic because it's a waste of resources. Most people test negative unless they know they've been exposed or they're having symptoms. So you have a known exposure and you have symptoms, or you've been around somebody that's actually sick, then I would definitely test myself. Particularly by the second day of symptoms, no later than the third day. The standard over-the-counter antigen test are actually good for detecting the disease state, particularly the Omicron variant. They have been found to be especially good in detecting the Omicron variant. But if the test is negative, doesn't mean I don't have a lot of faith in that. If it's negative, if a person has symptoms and they test negative, I still will perform a PCR nasal swab. If a person takes an antigen test, which is the rapid test that you get over the counter, or you can get in a lot of health environments like urgent care centers, etc., if they're doing a rapid test on you and it's positive, then it's positive. It's like there's no such thing as a false positive pregnancy test. If you get a pregnancy test from the dollar store and it's positive, chances are that you really are pregnant, versus a false negative. False negatives are a much more common phenomenon, and so because of just the nature of those tests, and any other tests, my first issue is with test taking technique. Most people, if they're administering the test on themselves, never stick the swab as far in their nose as they need to because it's unpleasant. So as soon as they stick the swab in, they pull it right back out. They don't stick it deep enough. They don't leave it in long enough. So they don't get a good enough or high quality enough specimen to test. So the test may be negative, and it's really not negative. It's just the test taking technique is poor. And oftentimes, even people that are doing the test, particularly volunteers and people that are, let's say you've been doing testing all day. You got a rapid test site and people are driving up and you're on your 500 test that day. And you stick it in somebody's nose and they recoil, and you're tired, they're tired, you don't want to really do it. And so if I don't get a good specimen, and that's what I like to do the testing myself, because I know then that I have a very high quality specimen doing so. If you're getting tested, one of the simple things you can do to decrease the discomfort is to hum or sing. I tell people, hum the Star Spangled Banner. And by the time you finish that first stanza, you switch to the other nose. You should try to have or allow the person to swab both sides of your nose for about 5 seconds on each side. Deeply, you hum, you still feel it, but it's much less uncomfortable. And then you can have faith in the outcome of that test. Okay, great question, Sharon. Stacy Scott, when you catch COVID, how long do you have to wait to get the booster shot? Okay, Stacy, great question. One, you want to have fully recovered from it, so that would be at least 2 weeks. So current recommendations are for as short as 3 months and as long as 5 months. Remember, the CDC just decreased from the recommendation of 6 months past your last injection for vaccines and for your infection if you have infection. So, but I know that there are philosophy in other countries in particular where they're giving you the boosters much quicker than that. And so I would say, again, after fully recovered, 2 weeks after that, which may be as early as 1 month from your primary diagnosis. But remember, you want to give your body time to form natural immunity plus the original vaccines that you got. If you were fully vaccinated, which means you had 2 shots of the Pfizer, 2 shots of the Moderna, or 1 shot of the Johnson Johnson, then the next dose is considered a booster. Now you can get the Johnson Johnson booster as little as 2 weeks to 2 months after the first shot. So depending upon which vaccine you receive, but again, that information is readily available. Just Google how quickly can I get a booster, and it will give you that information. But again, that information is changing in real time. And Dr. Collier is saying you definitely don't want to wait 6 months. We'll be through the winter time and over the pandemic, hopefully. So getting a booster then would be a waste of time. So I would try to get it as quickly as possible. Nobody's going to turn you away from you. You go to a shop and say you want a booster, they're going to give it to you. Okay, Stacey, great question. Consuela, I have hypothyroidism. I'm in full menopause at 56 years old. Is there any hope for me? Absolutely, Consuelo. One, menopause at 56 is about the standard age for menopause. So you're right there. Hypothyroidism, you want to make sure that your thyroid replacement is optimized. Thyroid hormone levels have a range of normal. So if this hand is low normal and this hand is high normal, if you get treated, you don't want to be here, which is just barely in the normal range. And a lot of doctors, when they test you, they'll say, oh, your thyroid hormone level is normal, and we're going to stop there. Instead of optimizing your hormone by pushing you, worst case scenario, you want to be right in the middle of normal. This is low, and this is high. You want to be in the middle. If this is high, you want to be as close to the high side as possible, and sometimes even over, to optimize your mental acuity, optimize your body's metabolism, so that you're not feeling cold in your hands and feet. All of those things, all those symptoms of hypothyroidism are traditionally undertreated by most doctors. So you need a doctor that understands thyroid disease, that treats thyroid disease aggressively, and will look at some of the alternative products, such as Nature-Throid or Armor versus Synthroid, in treating your thyroid disease. So there's lots of hope for you, Consuelo. We want to keep you at the best that you can be. For your menopausal symptoms, I'd recommend bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, BHRT. Google that, BHRT. And if you're in this area in Atlanta, give me a call and we can talk about it, and we can optimize that as well. If not, find a provider in your area that does BHRT. That will literally change your life. That will literally change your life. Okay, next question. Jade Allen. Okay, post COVID-19 caused me to lose 20 pounds, and I have gained the weight back, but my thighs have sagged and the muscle in my buttocks looks deflated. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a lot of weight loss due to a disease process, because it's not, you don't lose the way that you like. Your body catabolizes itself, and it eats muscle as well as fat. And ideally, you want to lose only fat. The cellulite is just where the fat cells have contracted, and now you have lumps of fat. If you're from the South and you eat grits, think about this. You have a bowl of grits, you get a lump in it. You take your fork and break up the lump of grits. It's still grits. It just formed a lump. That's the same. That's basically what cellulite is. It's a lump of fat that can be broken up. There are various techniques to do it. They are using ultrasound. They are using cool sculpturing, which lyses the cells by cold. There's a laser lipo, which Dr. Collier does in his office. And then there's also just massaging and breaking up those clumps of fat. All of those things can do that. You're going to have to build that muscles back in your buttock, unfortunately. It's going to require a lot of squatting to get your black woman blessing back in place in doing so. So it's not going to be an easy process, but it is possible for you to resculpt your body the way that you like for it to do. Okay, great question. Ernest Gibbs asks, what is the recommended daily regimen of vitamins for Black women over 50? The same recommendation for white women or any other woman for that matter. You want to take a complete multiple vitamin with iron and minerals. Now, there are certain products that are on the market that don't have iron in them, as for that they're focused on the geriatric population, which is now 65 or higher. But for over 50, you should take the same vitamins as anybody else, including the iron, to do that. But it's key that the bottle says a complete multiple vitamin, not just multiple, because a multiple is just more than one. It could be two vitamins. You want one that has every vitamin in there in one pill. And guess what? A vitamin is a fixed chemical formula. There is no better way to make a vitamin. Only thing you can do is have a prettier bottle and a celebrity endorsement, and that makes the cost go up. But the least expensive vitamin that you can get should be comparable to the most expensive vitamin that you can get, because it is a fixed chemical formula. So I tell people, you go to the store, you get the store brand, and it'll say on there as compared to the name brand. As long as the label says a complete multiple vitamin with iron and minerals, taking one a day, you ought to be able to get 100 of these for under $10. And the most important and key thing is to make sure that you take the vitamin every day. Everybody has a bottle of vitamins that are sitting on the counter they bought, and sometimes they never even open. Other times they open, they take intermittently. And vitamins are not something that you take when you feel like you need it. You take it every day as a part of your routine. I tell individuals for daily medication consumption, the best thing to do is to keep those medicines by your toothbrush. So when you brush your teeth, you can take the pill. It may be, you may have a morning regimen and an afternoon regimen. You may have before I start brushing my teeth and after I start brushing my teeth. If you have more than 3 pills to take at one time, Dr. Collier recommends that you spread them out a little bit. That will enhance the absorption of the pills, and that way the pills won't bother your stomach. You won't get nauseated from taking any medication. Oftentimes, the medicine is not what makes you sick. It's the pill taking technique. We are poor pill takers here in the United States because we will get a pill, we'll get a full glass of water, we'll take a sip, we take the pill, we take a sip, we may take one more sip to swallow the pill, we throw the rest of the water back in the sink. Very important that you consume the full 8 ounces of water. What that does is dissolve and melt the tablet or the capsule very quickly, usually in under 2 minutes, gets it out of your stomach and into your system. One, out of your stomach, so it's not irritating your stomach, causing nausea, cramps, or anything like that. Two, out of your stomach so it can get to wherever it's supposed to get. And so you'll get the benefit of what it is that you're taking. That's for any medication, from vitamins to aspirin to any prescription drug. You have to make sure that you drink enough water when you take them. There's almost no medicine that exists now that you have to eat when you take it. Most of them are simplified so that you don't have to take food. Some of them are absorbed better when you eat food, or less irritating to the stomach when you eat food. So then you spread that throughout your meal. You sit down to eat, you take a pill. You eat a few bites, you can take another pill. You mid-meal, you take another pill. Toward the end of your meal, you take another pill. This is what I recommend for people that have multiple medications to take versus loading all of their medicines in one hand, taking them all at one time, and making that a routine. You can do that. Most medicines are compatible. They don't have any interactions or side effects, but it's just not the most effective way to take and manage your pill consumption. All right, great question, Ernest. Shelly Bond Gregerty, is Activia probiotic yogurt good for you? It is absolutely the best probiotic yogurt that are out there. All yogurts contain probiotics. By definition, yogurts are the good bacteria. Greek style has more of the high quality bacteria, higher CFUs, colony forming unit counts in them. Activia is one that has optimal CFUs of multiple strands of probiotics in them, and that's why the Activia brand is so popular. It helps with digestion, helps keep your GI function going, helps you with have regular normal bowel movements. Activia brand is just a great product, so I highly recommend it. When I don't take my probiotic capsules, just for whatever reason, or anytime I feel like I need to stabilize my stomach, I'll eat my probiotic. If I have to snack, my preferred snack is a cup of yogurt. Activia brand preferred, but any Greek style yogurt would be good for you. And any flavor, it doesn't matter which fruit is in it. What matters is that you like it and you eat it. Okay, great question. Nicole Wright Johnson. Hey, from Cleveland. I love that. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. I'm on the fence about taking them to get a booster. I think boosters for teens are probably actually not considering a sense of urgency. If they got the Moderna, I'm happy with them right now. They probably don't need a booster. If they have the Pfizer, you are right. Particularly in young men, the incidence of myocarditis is higher, and they have had an increased incidence in young men that have gotten booster shots. If they are otherwise healthy and are not at higher risk, they are fully immunized after 2 injections. If they got the 2 and they're doing great, I wouldn't necessarily push getting a booster. But if they're in an environment, like if all of a sudden in your area they're having a huge outbreak, or at the schools that they're attending they're having multiple cases, then you might want to consider that. But again, this is Dr. Collier's medical opinion, and the opinions vary depending upon who you ask. But for young, otherwise healthy young people, the boosters were not initially recommended. They're recommending them now down to age 12, I think. So that's, I think, part of the problem, that if we get everybody immunized, we won't have to boost people. And they're already talking about a fourth shot in people that are immune compromised or over age 65. So, for a vaccine, they have to require continuous boosting. This is not the usual way that we have done things, and probably isn't necessary to do so. So again, I'm on the fence about it as well. You have to use your own personal decision making. But again, the things that would push me off the fence will be increased incidence of infections in my area, younger people, particularly at their schools that are getting infected, or even if a large number of teachers there, janitors there, anybody that works there, the people in the cafeteria start having. That means there's a concentration of the vaccine, of the virus in that area, and you might need a boost for it. Okay. Consuelo again. I'm told ever since I had a partial thyroidectomy in 2017, I have gained. Will your products help me with weight loss? Yes. Products will make you help you lose weight, help maintain your weight loss once you've lost weight. But again, your primary thing is you need to optimize your thyroid. You need to push that thyroid to as high a normal level as you can to optimize your metabolism. The biggest problem with people with hypothyroidism, particularly those that have had surgical thyroidectomy, is that they're undertreated when they get thyroid replacement. They're given the minimum amount to get the minimal response. And what happens is they start to gain weight, and they keep gaining weight and they're sluggish, and their mind is foggy brained, and they can't remember where they parked the car, and they're ready to go to bed at 8 o'clock every night. This is easy to fix. It is easy to adjust and easy to optimize, but a lot of doctors are reluctant to do it for some reason. And we need to, again, get somebody who's very sensitive about thyroid, who understands this disease state and understands the need to optimize you and your thyroid replacement. It's very important that you do that. I would say talk to your provider you have now. If they're not pushing it, tell them you want to optimize your thyroid levels. You don't want to be at the minimum. You don't even want to be in the middle. You want to be pushed as high as you can go, and to keep you within normal limits. You want to be as high as you can go to do that, with no side effects, of course. Side effects of excessive thyroid could be palpitations, excessive sweating, etc. But you'll know that if that happens, you'll start to have those symptoms, and you just bring the dose down a little bit. But you do not want to settle for the lowest dose possible, because that's not helping you. As you see, it makes you gain weight. But that second part of your question, the Lipo line is perfectly compatible with thyroid disease or any weight gain for any reason. It will help optimize your metabolism and help you lose weight and help you maintain weight loss once you have lost the weight. Great question. Okay, Cassandra. Good to see you again as well. Cleveland, Ohio is in the house. Is it okay to take the Lipo drops and Keto Max? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the optimal program would include probiotics, Lipo Cleanse, Lipo Drops Maximum Strength, and the Keto Max. All of those supplements will give you a greater weight loss in a shorter period of time. So again, when you go to the website, lipodrops.com, take the analysis, take the quiz, and then it will make recommendations based on what your objectives are, what your goals are, what you actually need. Again, the weight loss needs vary from person to person and depending upon a variety of different circumstances that are unique to you. So you want to have an informed decision as to which products to take. But the answer to your question is yes, all the products are comparable, and like the Max Pack has everything in it that you need to maximize your weight loss in the shortest period of time. That includes the Lipo Drops and the Keto Max. So great question, Cassandra. Okay, Arnita Juden from Mississippi. All right, I have a friend that snores, so they want to know will getting a firmer pillow help stop them from snoring. Not a firmer pillow, but a cervical pillow, which has a scoop, little cutout area that holds the crown of your head, and so it optimizes your head and neck position. Snoring is oftentimes caused by compromise of the airway. Either your tongue can be enlarged or your airway can be small. Sometimes it requires a surgical repair, removing the tonsils, the adenoids, and opening up that airway. They can even do what's called a uvulectomy and open up the hole in the back of your throat. Can be this small in some situations, and you want to open it up to make it this big. that stops you from snoring. Some people need positive air, PEEP or CPAP to do so. There's various ways to do that, but I always like to say, if you get the surgery, not only do you stop snoring and you don't have to sleep with that CPAP machine, the immediate response to that is usually a weight loss of 20 to 30 pounds because you're getting more oxygen into your body on a cellular level, which burns fat and makes you lose weight. So that's a side effect that everybody appreciates, because most people that are snoring, it makes them gain weight. Not to mention, it makes your partner gain weight because they can't sleep and they're chronically sleep deprived as well. So, Antonio, that was our final question. This brings to an end this episode of the Your Health is Important Facebook Live broadcast. Remember, go to our website, lipodrops.com, optimize your health. Look at the ways to get on our bandwagon, our weight loss challenge for 2022. Lose that weight. Like I said, Dr. Collier is down 20 plus pounds in the last 6 to 8 weeks. Very important that you get on board to be the best that you can be. Thank you so much for listening. We greatly appreciate you, and we'll see you next month for our Facebook Live Ask the Doctor, Your Health is Important segment. Thank you and good night.